Today for Devotions with Daniela, we are reading White Women Get Ready: How Healing Post-Traumatic Mistress Syndrome Leads to Anti-Racist Change by Amanda K. Gross. I am reading this book a little bit every day for my own process of deconstructing the delusion of white supremacy. And if you would like to follow along, you can get copies attached here. This is a chapter called Up Close and Personal and a subchapter called Love and No Marriage. Miriam and I ended up out on a date one evening at a local vegan-friendly Tex-Mex spot. She is white, he is black. He and I were sitting across from each other at a booth tucked in by the kitchen entrance. It had been a while since we had been out together. Our work schedules were both pretty intense, so finding daytime hours when we both synced up was a rarity. This was an occasion I was expecting to enjoy. It wasn't long after we had been seated that we began to disagree. I can't tell you what about, nor did I file away a memory about what brought on the tears, but I felt their swift approach, swelling up from my gut toward my throat. I didn't have time to feel inconvenience like I might have in the past, because along with the anger slash frustration slash sadness about whatever had brought on the tears was concern. A part of me wanted to lash out and argue back at Carrie M. Whatever he had said had ignited a spark. Oh, I'm remembering a little more now. I think I might have been pissed. A part of me wanted to let myself fully feel, to not stuff it down, to be present with what was happening in the moment in my body and with my heart, as I had been trying to practice in life. A part of me wanted to just be honest, to just let it out, to just have a lover's quarrel in the neighborhood eatery. In that split second, as my tears welled up, we made eye contact. Feelings, rage, frustration, disappointment, compassion, love, care, concern. I took a deep breath in and excused myself. Sliding past the wait staff, I walked to the restroom and released my tears in the privacy of the bathroom stall. Afterwards, standing in front of the mirror, I cleaned up my face as best as I could and returned with more composure. When I sat back down, he asked a question with his eyes. I nodded in acknowledgement, and we moved the conversation on to things that were more publicly safe. Not crying on a date in public was not something I'd ever had to think about during my marriage to a white man. This is because white women's tears are dangerous to black men, especially. Mistress syndrome is so much about trying to keep us from the pain. On the one hand, there is an allure, an attraction to being in relationship with people of the global majority, non white people. For white folks who grew up in very white spaces, there might be elements of exotification. Perhaps being around people of the global majority feels shiny and new, or a little risky, a way to rebel against externally imposed restrictions. There was a black man on one of my videos here who commented, yeah, don't come for the black cog and not stay for the black cause. I hear white folks in anti-racist spaces express an attraction too. I hear us yearn for deeper community, for life-giving cultures, for ways to become whole. Yes, we want to be in multiracial, multicultural community. Yes, we want to humanize our friends, family, and partners of color. Yes, we want to have better relationships with and be in solidarity with those whom racism most harms. But what happens for us when the pain of racism gets too real and too close? What happens after we realize the 4Ds won't facilitate intimacy or sustain chosen family? How do we know when we've reached the limits of the 4Ds and how else we might respond? Check out White Women Get Ready.